The Scottish Highlands had always hummed with an ancient energy. A whisper of magic lingered in the mist-wreathed glens. But on this night, the air crackled with a different kind of power. A power that was alien, cold, and utterly merciless. It arrived with a sound like tearing silk, a rift in the very fabric of reality. From this tear, a figure materialized. He was tall and gaunt, with eyes that burned with an unsettling light. The Master, a renegade Time Lord from the planet Gallifrey, had arrived. His laughter echoed across the desolate moors, a chilling prelude to the chaos he intended to unleash. He surveyed the quaint town of Aberforth nestled below, his grin widening. Aberforth would be his canvas, its inhabitants his unwitting pawns. The Master raised his hands, and the air around him shimmered. He was ready to paint a masterpiece of madness. Aberforth would never be the same. Samuel McAllister had always been a dreamer, a tinkerer, a recluse in the small town of Aberforth. He spent his days in his workshop, a cacophony of clanging metal and the acrid scent of chemicals. His life's work, a machine that crackled with an energy that defied explanation. A machine he believed could reshape the world. Samuel called it his masterpiece, a symphony of gears, wires, and pulsating lights powered by an artifact of unknown origin. It was meant to be a source of unlimited energy, a beacon of progress. Instead, it had become a conduit. The singularity at its core, a black hole of his own creation, resonated with the Master's arrival. The energy surged, spilling out into the town. It seeped into the graveyard, into the very bones of the dead. It animated them with a grotesque mockery of life. They rose, eyes vacant, limbs stiff, driven by a hunger that could never be satisfied. In the shadows of the old university, a different kind of darkness stirred. They were young, barely more than children themselves. Turned too young, abandoned by their maker. They were vampires, adrift in a world that both feared and reviled them. They huddled in the crumbling stone corridors, their faces pale and drawn. The scent of decay, usually so alluring, now filled them with dread. The energy that pulsed through Aberforth was anathema to them, a discordant note in the symphony of their senses. It spoke of a power older and more terrible than they could comprehend. Their leader, a young woman named Alara, with eyes as blue as a winter sky, felt a chill grip her heart. The world was changing, and she feared they were ill-equipped to face the coming storm. They were but fledglings, their fangs barely long enough to draw blood. Now they were faced with a threat that even the oldest of their kind would tremble before. Section 4. The Master's Gaze. The Master stood on a craggy hill overlooking Aberforth, relishing the chaos he had wrought. The TARDIS, his time-traveling machine disguised as a blue police box, hummed gently behind him. It was a symbol of his power, his ability to traverse time and space at will. He watched as the newly risen dead shambled through the streets, their moans echoing through the night. Their hunger amused him. It was a primal urge, pure and simple. But the vampires, they intrigued him. Their struggle, their fear. It was a symphony of emotions that he could almost taste. He knew of their hunger, their thirst for blood. But he also sensed their fear, their desperation. They were pawns in his game, just like everyone else in Aberforth. But how would they play their part? Would they succumb to the chaos, or would they rise to meet it? Section 5. A World Remade? The wind howled across the highlands, carrying with it the scent of rain and fear. The fabric of reality, already strained, threatened to unravel completely. Aberforth was no longer a quaint Scottish town. It was a crucible, a melting pot of the living, the dead, and the damned. The Master watched it all unfold, his eyes gleaming with a terrible delight. This was just the beginning. He had plans for Aberforth, plans that would reshape the very fabric of reality. The zombies were just the first act, a prelude to a symphony of destruction. The vampires, with their thirst for blood and their fear of the unknown, were an intriguing wild card. Would they be consumed by the chaos? Or would they find a way to survive in this new, terrifying world? And what would become of Samuel, the unwitting architect of this apocalypse? The answers, like the future itself, were shrouded in darkness.